breaking out of Allen Park with a shocking move that touches January football on the table. One that lines up our timeline with Philadelphia's urgency and turns a crowded edge market into a two-team chess match. I'm going to take you inside the logic, the cap math, and the tape. And only cuando si la hora, I'll drop the headline you came for. Because the story here isn't a rumor in all caps. It's the way a contender behaves when the window is open and the margins are measured in hits on the quarterback. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report Lock-In. Here's the brief. We've been winning on structure and depth. But the one variable that decides playoff series in the NFL is fresh rush in the fourth quarter. And Detroit's staff has spent 2 weeks modeling scenarios that add exactly that without breaking the core or the cap sheet. Philadelphia, meanwhile, has the opposite problem of a similar shape production lag on the edge despite volume pressures and their front offices pushing buttons to fix it fast. Put that together, and you get a marketplace where both teams are staring at the same aisle for the same reasons, each with different levers. Now, the field first, because this channel always starts on the grass. Our pressure has lived in complementary football coverage rotation dictating protection slides. Simulated pressure stress testing the B-gap. Hutch flattening the corner and forcing quarterbacks to throw into robber looks, and when it hums, you feel it in the crowd noise on second down. But with Marcus Davenport still parked on injured reserve and no firm clock on a return, our sub-package menu has stood in the exact spot where January games are won. And that's why the call sheet this week has more NASCAR looks drawn in pencil than ink. You can win a Sunday with creative structure. You win 3 straight in the postseason with one more finisher who forces hands to slide and frees the stunt game. Stack that against Philadelphia's film, and you see the mirror from the other side. Sack totals that punch under the pressure count. A rotation that's been hit by abrupt retirements and stop-start availability. And a scoreboard that asks for closing juice from the edges. League databases love their raw numbers, and they're telling a clean story rankings in the bottom third in team sacks. A gap between hurry rate and finish, and the Eagles aren't shy about chasing answers when the graph dips. This is where the fit starts to hum. 2 teams with real stakes peaking at the same moment. Both reading the same names on a short list that isn't long this year. Because true edge help rarely hits the aisle unless it's expensive, dented or attached to a pick tax that hurts. I've been told straight up, Detroit isn't shopping the future for a headline. The Hutchinson extension is the right bet and the right message. But it tightens the belt for 12 months and forces us to be smart, not loud. That means profiles, not posters. A rotational rusher on an expiring deal with real get-off and a history of finishing inside a winning rush plan. A tweener who wins with speed to power on third down and can kick inside an obvious pass. Or a veteran with playoff scars who's kept a clean bill of health and understands. A 5-man surface without blowing contain. Numbers matter. So let's talk numbers without putting you to sleep. Every name you add is cap number plus amortization plus void structure. And that's where Detroit's discipline shows up. If you can step into a base salary with minimal proration and attach playtime triggers that roll into 2026, you protect flexibility for the second wave of needs. And if you can keep the 2025 cash lean, you keep the emergency lane open at corner. Philadelphia plays the same game but with different appetite. Their history says they'll overpay in October to fix a January hole and live with the spring. Ours says we'll squeeze value and win on fit. That's not theory, that's tape and balance sheet. All of this is preface to the part you tuned in for. So ride with me a little further while I put the magnets on the board. Imagine a 3rd and 7 in Santa Clara with 2:18 left and our season on the line. Right now, we're asking Hutch to be 2 things at once closer and decoy, while we spin the other side with simulated heat. It works when the quarterback doesn't have the extra beat to hitch and climb. Add 1 finisher who wins the high shoulder and forces the reset. And suddenly, your robber safety becomes a thief again. Your corners sit on outbreakers. And your 4-man rush calls games without a credit check from the blitz. That is the football case. And it's why I'm telling you with a straight face. The Lions are positioning to make a move that intersects directly with the Eagles' search. A late window play for edge help that both teams believe can change how they close games. Yes, this is Detroit versus Philly for the same shelf. I'm not dropping names because the list is moving, but the archetype is stable and the mechanics are clear. For us, think conditional mid-round that upgrades with snap share and playoff wins, plus low year-one cash and a clean exit if the fit misses. For them, think higher pick today and willingness to eat more cash to smooth the trade partner's PR. Keep in mind the timing. The league's deadline is today at 4 p.m. ET. And phones always go crazy in the last 90 minutes. That's where the leverage flips, especially when your counterpart knows you've got Davenport in rehab and a window to protect. One more layer of this is important. Hutch's extension numbers are public now, and the year-by-year hits tell you exactly why Detroit is threading the needle. This front office wants zero emergency restructures that rob Peter to pay Paul in June, so any trade today has to live in the house rules. That's not cowardice. That's how grown-up teams stay good for 5 years instead of 8 weeks. I also hear you on the culture piece, and I'll go there because it matters in our building. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have constructed a room that polices effort and ego without speeches. Every addition meets that bar before we talk about bend or hand usage. Philadelphia's locker room is veteran-heavy and used to ring chases, so they can absorb a spicy personality in October. We, by design, target dudes who hunt on Tuesday, accept rolls on Thursday, and spike on Sunday. That's why the corner of the board that reads playoff snaps per dollar is how we sort the pile. Zoom out with me for 30 seconds. This isn't a rumor tug-of-war for clicks. It's a strategic squeeze where Detroit and Philadelphia will likely bid on the same tier of edge rushers in a thin market, and whoever lands first changes the other's plan by dinner. Here's the climax you asked me to deliver clean, and I'm delivering it now that the context can hold it. Detroit is preparing to engage the Eagles head-to-head for an edge edition before the bell, with both front offices tracking the same cluster of deals and both willing to move real assets for fourth-quarter rush. If the numbers hold and the players' medicals match our thresholds, the Lions are in fully. Because the delta between good rush and rush that ends drives is a January seed. And this season has earned that kind of swing. Drop your take below before the deadline hits. Would you package a conditional 4 that escalates with a championship game appearance to beat Philly to the punch? Or hold the line and trust internal growth plus a healthy Davenport in December? Which archetype helps us more right now? The pure speed rusher to live opposite, Hutch, or the heavier base end who lets us keep the run sheet honest on early downs and kick inside on money downs? And if the price jumps because Howie pushes, where's your hard stop pick value? Cash or snaps promise? My closing reads straight and short. This front office has earned the right to take one smart swing. An edge trade that respects the cap and the core fits the team we are. And if it's a duel with the Eagles, so be it. Win the paperwork, win the rush, and you change the math on every third down from Thanksgiving on. Subscribe, hit the bell, and give this a like so more Lions fans get the update before the clock runs out. I'll be back with the breakdown the minute the ink is dry. And if the move doesn't land, we pivot to the December plan and keep the standard, because in Detroit, we don't chase noise, we build wins.